Hey, you know what I haven't done in a while? One of those top 10 lists. Yeah, top 10 worst songs of random year. Yeah, that'll be fun, right? That's always fun, looking at the horribly dated fashion trends of past decades and the ridiculous other things generations listened to in the past. Okay, time travelers, put on your poodle skirts and your leisure suits, because we're taking a nostalgia ride in the Wayback Machine all the way to the far-off year of... Huh. Okay. Peace up, A-Town Down? Okay, I realize this is less than a decade ago, but 2004 is fading from memory more quickly than you probably realize. Howard Dean was a viable presidential candidate, people cared about Janet Jackson's breasts, lolcats didn't exist yet, and while I personally spent most of 2004 listening to Modest Mouse and the Killers, that's not really reflected in Billboard's list of the year's hottest songs. No, for the public at large, 2004 was the year of crunk. There's some other stuff in there, but more than half this list is down and dirty hip-hop party jams. We were shaking it like a salt shaker and or Polaroid picture, depending on the song. It wasn't like today, where the charts are largely the domain of the Katy Perrys and Rihannas. No, 2004 belonged to the Dirty South. And it all disappeared surprisingly quickly. I wasn't a chart watcher in '04 like I am now, but I have absolutely no knowledge of a distressing number of these songs. And I'm guessing many of them mean nothing to most of you too, unless names like Lil Flip, Nina Sky, or Ryan Cabrera ring any bells for you. All the same, 2004 holds a special place for me. That was the year that some awful Simple Plan song inspired me to start bitching about music on my LiveJournal, which I did for many years before I eventually converted it to video. Yes, this is basically the year that Todd in the Shadows was born. The birth of a legend. Alright, enough wasting time. Let's get it started in here. We're counting down!
Girl, this is my sorry for 2004.
The top 10 worst hit songs of 2004.
I'ma take this one chance and make it real clear. I'm sorry.
Number 10.
Is this chicken what I have, or is this fish? I know it's tuna, but it says chicken by the sea.
There. After 13 years and a billion paparazzi photos, there you have Jessica Simpson's only major contribution to pop culture, being outsmarted by a canned food label. In 2003, Jessica Simpson launched her career as a reality star, one which she apparently continues to this day. But believe it or not, she actually started her career as a singer, and she actually had some success in it. Not success anyone remembers, but, you know, success. Yes, the newly de-virginized Jessica Simpson went forth that year to put out a new, sexy image, but by 2004, as R&B took over, the pop scene had utterly no clue what to do with its regular pop princesses. I can only assume this one charted because of Jessica's publicity buzz from her TV show, but it is easily the worst Jessica Simpson song I've ever heard, and I've listened to lots and lots of Jessica Simpson.
You speak and it's like a song, and just like that all my walls come down. It's like a private joke.
And oddly enough, Jessica never really seemed particularly comfortable as a pop singer. Certainly not on this, she doesn't. Listen to this song, it's herky-jerky, it's got this weird rhyme scheme, it sounds more like an inept mashup than anything else. I mean, Jessica Simpson is a belter. She knows how to do this. Not so good at this. More than that, I'm a little annoyed that this completely synthetic piece of tripe is Jessica presenting herself as the real her, and you're cutting through the layers of showbiz to see who she really is.
The real me is a southern girl with a Levi's on and an open heart.
Right. No, this is so calculated it was written on a TI-83. Chances are that even her husband never met the real Jessica. I certainly don't buy that this malformed piece of fluff is anything real.
I can say anything crazy.
No. God, look how down home and real she is. She's not a living, breathing publicity machine at all. She's just Jessica from the block. Whatever.
Now that I'm with you.
Girl, this is my sorry for 2004. And
Number 9. Now, like I said, I was only listening to rock music in 04, so I was a little shocked at how little there was of it on this list. Why is The Rock so unrepresented? Surely we had someone to be our standard bearer of rock and roll. Oh. Well, God, no wonder this genre was dying.
how the hell do we wind up like this? And why weren't we able?
No, that's a good question, Chad. How did we? How did we end up like this every single year of the Bush administration, like clockwork, with another completely awful Nickelback single stinking up the radio? Nickelback were always a terrible band from the very beginning, but it was right around this year that they began building their reputation not just as a bad band, but as the worst band of all time. Somewhere there's somebody who will tell you that the critics were too harsh on them, but that person is not me. Now, their big hit in 2004 was called Someday, and it was mainly only notable for being a shit-blisteringly blatant recycling of their first big hit, so much so that one amazing remix just played them side by side for comparison. Why they would want to recycle a song that was awful to begin with is beyond me. People use the term butt rock to refer to a lot of things, but I think it best applies to Chad Kroeger, because he literally sounds like a butt. That, more than anything, is the key component in Nickelback's rock bottom reputation. The fact that Kroeger the Ogre sounds like he's singing directly out of his colon. Every single song he just wails like that. How do you think he answers the phone? Also, this is a minor nitpick, but the lyrics suck too. Yeah, he's gonna make it right, but not right now. I mean, the game's on. I can't wait. Jeez. And the sad part is that Nickelback would go on to get worse. Much worse than Someday. I mean, this was before they were dropping 6 singles from an album at a time. This wound up low on the list simply because Nickelback can do so much worse. As one of the few people on earth who can distinguish between different Nickelback songs, I can tell you that just off the top of my head, I can think of 7 songs they had worse than this. Any other band, this would be the worst thing they ever did. Just another day for Nickelback.
Girl, this is my sorry for 2004.
Number 8. This is not about Beyonce.
Baby boy, you stay on my mind, fulfill my fantasy.
Come on, girl, tell me how you feeling.
I know I already said I'm not a Beyonce fan, never was, probably never will be. That said, she did have at least a couple songs I liked. This obviously isn't one of them, but this isn't about her. Reggae star Sean Paul is featured more on this song than Miss B is, but it's not about him either, although it was pretty easy to get sick of Sean Paul that year. No, this is about a chubby white boy named Scott Storch. Scott Storch was a keyboard player for The Roots, and then he was an underling of producer Timbaland, and then he struck out making beats on his own, and he was very successful for a few years. I bring him up because he absolutely sucked. I blame every shitty dance song I heard between 03 and 06 on him. I couldn't stand a single song he touched, mostly because all his shit sounded exactly the same. Some vaguely world music sounding Indian riff or something, add hip hop beat, done. Anyone could have done it, but Scott went the extra mile by making the most shrink-wrapped, sterile beats so utterly devoid of life or fun that, when we had guys like the Neptunes, Timbaland making actual fun music, I have no idea why we tolerated this tubby, talentless hack making our hits. One would expect such a force-up personality as Beyonce to liven things up, but see, here's the thing, Beyonce's good at explaining why she's awesome, or destroying some inferior specimen of man. If only she brought that kind of energy to this. On love songs, more than a few times, she just seems to clock out, which is why she seems like a non-presence on this song. Scott Storch eventually flamed out MC Hammer style in a cloud of cocaine, lawsuits, and ridiculous outfits. I choose to believe it was karma. And Lord knows whatever happened to Beyonce. Anyone ever hear from her again? Probably not, I bet.
Girl, this is my sorry for 2004.
Number 7. Oh, would that this have been one of the songs from this year I don't remember. Of course, I don't know how that would happen, because in that year and every year since, The Reason by Hoobastank has been one of the most wretchedly overplayed songs that's ever existed. Hoobastank were honestly not a terrible band. They were pretty clear Incubus wannabes, yes, but I didn't have anything against them at all. And yet, I developed an allergic reaction to The Reason almost immediately. Plenty of hard rock bands released terrible ballads, but at least back in the 80s it was cheesy and over the top. The Reason, however, is a worst of both worlds scenario, combining the ugly, sludgy sound of a Nickelback song with the vapid, hacky lyrics of a Peter Cetera ballad. Just listen as master poet Doug Robb finds just the right words to express the idea that he's not a perfect person. And weaves romantic tapestry of imagery to show that he's sorry that he hurt you. And finds a new spin on the tired, insincere cliche, I never meant to do those things to you. Genius. Yeah, this guy's not any better at apologizing than Nickelback, although at the very least he's a better singer than Chad Kroeger. Usually. It's just not a very convincing song. Oh, I never meant to do those things. I'm not gonna say which things, you know, those things. Whatever those things are. Maybe he, I don't know, sold her dog and slept with all her friends. You can't change who you used to be, dumbass. The song starts with a guy saying he isn't perfect, and then he goes on to prove it. Hoobastank immediately disappeared after the biggest hit, and yet, despite Hoobastank's lack of further success, The Reason persists in all its dull, gray awfulness. For the love of God, why won't it just go away? This song Hooba sucks.
Girl, this is my sorry for 2004.
Number 6. Hot in her, whatever. Nelly wasn't exactly a great rapper, but he was an original. The first rapper to break out of the Midwest, one with a unique sing-song flow and a strange way of bending words. Naturally, after Nelly's second album went multi-platinum in 2002, ripoffs started showing up almost immediately. This guy's name was Chingy, or possibly Chingy, I'm not sure. Like Nelly, he came from St. Louis. Like Nelly, he didn't seem overburdened with intelligence. Unlike Nelly, I don't think anyone ever liked him. One of the amazing things about the internet is that you can find someone who can make a decent defense of just about anybody in the world. But Chingy was one of the few people I remember who the entire consensus said was just crap. And just like Hoobastank above, he was at his worst when he was trying to be romantic. Chingy was one of those guys whose entire idea of romance came from internet porn videos. He didn't exactly liven things up with great lyrics or amazing flow. In fact, his voice is by far the worst thing about him. He seems shocked by everything he says. Seriously, is Urkel dubbing this guy? Does he have a case of the hiccups or what? Look, don't creep on girls at the bank or the grocery store or whatever, jeez. Here, let me sum up this entire song for you.
I sent that bitch a smiley face. Bitches love smiley faces.
You know what else is one call away? Irrelevance.